Hey there in Facebook land, it's Brandy Lawson with Tech Girl coming to you again on Monday, live at 11 a.m. to talk about all things technology and web related. So today we are going to talk a little bit about the key to getting found online. And as you might suspect, it has something to do with keywords. But let's just first talk about what we're doing online anyhow. We're communicating. In the old days, we used to go to a phone book when we needed a business. We still ask friends and family, but we do it in a more digital way. So when you're trying to get found online, you're really just trying to communicate with the people who are looking for you. But miscommunication can start a lot of times with the wrong choice of words. You may have been in an argument with a loved one, a misunderstanding with a friend. A lot of times this boils down to having chose the wrong words. What you were trying to say and the words you used, it did not get interpreted that same way. What I found is that the same thing is happening online. So the first rule is always know your audience. It's the first rule of marketing. It's the first rule of creating an online presence. It's the first rule to TV commercials. It's also the first rule to not getting a sexual harassment lawsuit. Always know your audience. Know who you're talking to and get out of your own head and walk in their shoes. Understand what they're trying to... You, as the person who is trying to communicate, need to understand their perspective and their perception of what's going on so that you can do your job and choose the right words so that the communication can actually happen. Because if there's just words, that's not actually communication. That's just somebody talking. So, rule number 2 of the key to getting found online is you can guess what the right words are only if you measure and change them. So as marketers, as people who've done this for a long time, as online gurus, anyone who does digital marketing will tell you, we start out with our best educated guess. And then we revise as we get more information. And no one's ever 100% right the first time. We're just simply not. So if you have built your website and you have taken a somewhat educated guess at what you should be putting on there from a content perspective, if you have not gone back and checked your analytics, your traffic, talked to the people who actually read your stuff and figure out if the communication happened, then you're missing something huge. You are missing a big opportunity to actually have that communication and connection with the people who are trying to find you. And they're probably not finding you if you're not using the words that they're using. Even in this day and age of we'll call natural language search, when people are speaking to devices to get answers anymore, it's even more important that you are using the right phrases and words that your audience is using so that you can get found. One of my favorite stories is about a client who had things for sale on their site. They were mostly for rent, and they had put up all of the information about how much it costs, and they labeled it all rates, which was great. There it is. Then we put a search on their site so that we could see when people were finding the site, what they were looking for, and if they were looking for things that they weren't finding, so that we could update the content and make sure people were finding what they were looking for. Well, it turns out people were looking for prices, not rates. So here's just a very clear example of, sure, at the end of the day, they mean the same thing, but the people are never going to find what they're looking for if we're not calling it what they're calling it. So that's why keywords are so important. And you can't guess. You have to know. You can start with an educated guess, but then you have to refine. So the third rule is routinely review and revise. So when you first get started with anything, if it's a Facebook ad, if it's a blog post, if it's social posts, something that you're just getting started with, if it's an online presence, if you're building a website, when you first get started, it's really critical in that beginning stage to review and revise. Weekly, well, with Facebook ads, you can almost do it hourly, but depending on the medium, really routinely, you need to be reviewing what's going on and then revising based on what you're seeing. The other piece here is that keyword research is so critical to making sure that you are using the terms that your audience, that you have the best educated guess, let me just put it that way. You have the best educated guess to start with. Because otherwise, thumb in the wind, we'll just try to figure out what people are talking about. When you do proper keyword research, you go out, there's tools out there Moz.com. Google has a keyword research tool. There's several other things out there that you can use, or you can use a professional, which is my preference because I know how critical this is to building the foundation for content, building the foundation for menus and other things on websites, but also even when it comes to Facebook ads and the rest of how you communicate with your audience. If you're not using their language, they're going to have a really hard time finding you when they go to search for things. So those are the 3 keys to getting found online. You can read more over on my blog. I'll drop some links in the comments, and I hope to see you again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. See you then.